Shalom, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Um, all right, so this is going to be a continuation of the book of Jasher. And I just did the last message, which was Nimrod's life growing up, of how he was raised, obviously. Now, now we are going to read about Abraham's birth, of what happened at that time, and how Abraham grew up. So, and obviously he was going by Abram at that time, but I just still titled it Abraham because we all know him as Abraham, anyways. So, all right, hope you all enjoyed this message. And I'm going to start reading. It's going to be from Jasher chapter 8 up until chapter 9, verse 19 in the book of Jasher. So that is going to be for this subject. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. All right. Chapter 8 in the book of Jasher. And it came to be in the night that Abram was born, and all the servants of Terah, and all the wise men of Nimrod, and his astrologers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and astrologers went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes towards the heavens that night to look at the stars. And they looked, and see, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and it swallowed up four stars from the four sides of the heavens. And all the wise men and of the sovereign and his astrologers were astonished at the sight. And the wise men understood this matter, and they knew its importance. And they said to each other, "This only foretells the child that has been born to Terah this night will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever, and he as his seed will slay great sovereigns and inherit their lands." And the wise men and astrologers went home that night, and in the morning all these wise men and astrologers rose early and assembled in an appointed house. And they spoke and said to each other, "See, that sight that we saw last night is hidden from the sovereign. It has not been made known to him. And should this matter get known to the sovereign in the latter days, he will say to us, 'Why have you concealed this matter from me?' And we shall all suffer death. Therefore, now let us go and tell the sovereign the sight in which we saw and the interpretation of it, and we shall then remain clear." And by the way, the sovereign is Nimrod. Nimrod is ruling. Shinar is what it was called before Babylon. So that is talking of, each time where it says sovereign is talking about Nimrod. All right. And they did so, and they all went to the sovereign and bowed down to him to the ground, and they said, "May the sovereign live, may the sovereign live." And we heard that a son was born to Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of your army, last night, and we came to his house. We ate and drank and rejoiced with him that night. And when your servants went out from the house of Terah to go to our respective homes to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to the heavens, and we saw a great star coming from the east, and the same star ran with great speed and swallowed up the four great stars from the four sides of the heavens. And your servants were astonished at the sight of which we saw, and were greatly afraid. And we made our judgment upon the sight, and knew by our wisdom and proper interpretation of it that this matter applies to the child that is born to Terah, who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful and kill all the sovereigns of the earth and inherit all their lands, and he and his seed forever. And now, our master and sovereign, see, we have truly made known to you what we have seen concerning this child. And if it seems good to the sovereign to give his father value for this child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land, and his evil increase against us, that we and our children perish through his evil. And the sovereign heard their words, and they seemed good in his sight. And they sent and called for Terah, and Terah came before the sovereign. And the sovereign said to Terah, I have been told that a son was born to you last night, and after this matter was observed in the heavens at his birth. And now therefore give me the child, that we may slay him before his evil rises up against us, and I will give you for his value and your house full of silver and gold. And Terah answered the sovereign and said to him, My master and sovereign, I have heard your words, and your servant shall do all that his sovereign desires. But my master and sovereign, I will tell you what befell me last night, and I may see what advice the sovereign will give his servant, and then I will answer the sovereign on what he has just spoken. And the sovereign said, Speak. And Terah said to the sovereign, Ion the son of Mored came to me last night, saying, Give to me the great and good-looking horse that the sovereign gave you, and I will give you silver and gold, and straw and food for its value. And I said to him, Wait until I see the sovereign concerning your words, and see whatever the sovereign says, that I will do. Now, my master and sovereign, see, I have made this matter known to you, and the advice which my sovereign will give unto his servant, that I will follow. And the sovereign heard the words of Terah, and his wrath was kindled, and he considered him in the light of a fool. And the sovereign said to Terah, and he said to him, Are you so foolish, ignorant, or lacking in understanding to do this matter, to give your good-looking horse for silver and gold, and even for straw and food? Are you so short of silver and gold that you should do this matter, because you cannot obtain straw and food to feed your horse? And what is silver and gold to you, or straw and food, that you shall give away that fine horse which I gave you, like which there is none to be had on the whole earth? And the sovereign left off speaking, and Terah answered the sovereign, saying, Like this has the sovereign spoken to his servant. I beg you, my master and sovereign, what is this which you said to me, saying, Give your son that we may slay him, and I will give you silver and gold for his value? And what shall I do with the silver and gold after the death of my son, and who shall inherit me? Only then at my death the silver and gold will return to my sovereign who gave it. And when the sovereign heard the words of Terah, the parable which he brought concerning the sovereign, it grieved him greatly, and he was troubled at his word, and his wrath burned within him. And Terah saw that the wrath of the sovereign was kindled against him, and he answered the sovereign, saying, All that I have is in the sovereign's power, and whatever the sovereign desires to do to his servant, that let him do. Even my son, he is in the sovereign's power, without value in exchange, he and his two brothers that are older than he. And the sovereign said to Terah, No, but I will practice your younger son, or purchase your younger son for a price. And Terah answered the sovereign, saying, I beg you, my master and sovereign, let your servant speak a word before you, and let the sovereign hear the word of his servant. And Terah said, Let my sovereign give me 3 days' time, till I consider this matter within myself, and consult with my clan concerning the words of my sovereign. And he pressed the sovereign greatly to agree to this. And the sovereign listened to Terah, and he did so, and he gave him 3 days' time. And Terah went out from the sovereign's presence, And he came home to his clan and spoke to them all the words of the sovereign, and the people were greatly afraid. And it came to be in the third day that the sovereign sent to Terah, saying, Send me your son for a price as I spoke to you. And should you not do this, I will send and slay all you have in your house, so that you shall not even have a dog remaining. And Terah hastened as the matter was urgent from the sovereign, and he took a child from one of his servants, with which his female servant had borne him that day. And Terah brought the child to the sovereign and received value for him. Oh, and that was a different baby that he literally like gave to the sovereign Nimrod. So yeah, so he basically tricked Nimrod into thinking that was Abram, but it was really a different baby. And Yahuwah was with Terah in this matter, and Nimrod might not cause Abram's death, that the sovereign took the child from Nimrod, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground, for he thought it had been Abram, and this was concealed from him from that day, and it came to be forgotten by the sovereign, as it was the matter of the providence not to allow Abram's death. And Terah took Abram his son secretly, together with his mother and nurse, and he concealed them in a cave, and he brought them their provisions monthly. And Yahuwah was with Abram in the cave, and he grew up, and Abram was in the cave 10 years. And the sovereign and his princes and diviners and wise men thought that the sovereign had killed Abram. Chapter 9 in the book of Jasher. And Haran, the son of Terah, Abram's oldest brother, took a wife in those days. And Haran was 39 years old when he took her. The wife of Haran conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Lot. And she conceived again and bore a daughter, and she called her name Milcah. And she again and conceived and bore a daughter, and she called her name Sarai. And Haran was 42 years old when he brought forth Sarai, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. So, Abraham was 10 years old and Sarai was a baby, newborn. And in those days, Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, and as the sovereign and his subjects had forgotten the matter of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the instruction of Yahuwah and his ways. And no man knew where Abram was, and Abram served Noah and Shem, his son, for a long time. So this was very important, by the way. Abram, started, he was living with Noah and Shem so that Noah and Shem could actually teach him about Yahuwah, knowing that his father Terah was worshiping other mighty ones. So if it wasn't for that, he would have been like worshiping mighty ones too. But good thing he went with Noah and Shem to live with for a really long time. And Abram was in Noah's house 39 years. And Abram knew Yahuwah from 3 years old, and he went in the ways of Yahuwah until the days of his death, as Noah and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yahuwah, and they rebelled against him, and they served other mighty ones, and they forgot Yahuwah, who created them in the earth. And the inhabitants of the earth at that time made for themselves every man his mighty ones of wood and stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver. And the sons of men served them, and they became their mighty ones. And the sovereign Nimrod and all his servants, and Terah with all his household, were then the first of those that served mighty ones of wood and stone. And Terah had 12 mighty ones of large size, made of wood and stone, after the 12 months of the year, and he served each one monthly. And every month Terah would bring his grain offering and drink offering to his mighty ones, and thus Terah did all the days. And all that generation were wicked in the sight of Yahuwah, and they thus made every man his mighty one, but they forsook Yahuwah who had created them. And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew Yahuwah, for they served each man his own mighty one, except Noah and his household, for all those who were under his counsel knew Yahuwah in those days. Wow, so you hear that? Noah, Shem, and Abram were the only people in the whole earth that knew Yahuwah, and everyone else was serving other mighty ones in idolatry. Now that is freaky, because obviously Nimrod was ruling the earth, and he led a lot of people astray anyway, so yeah. All right, and Abram the son of Terah was becoming great in those days in the house of Noah, and no man knew it, for Yahuwah was with him. Yeah, and I'm going to continue reading, up until verse 19. Now I'm on verse 12. And Yahuwah gave Abram an understanding heart, and he knew all the works of that generation were worthless, and that all their mighty ones were worthless and were of no use. And Abram saw the sun shining upon the earth, and Abram said to himself, indeed, now the sun that shines upon the earth is the mighty one, and I will serve him. And Abram served the sun in that day, and he prayed to it. And when evening came, the sun went down as usual. And Abram said within himself, indeed, this cannot be the Almighty. And Abram still continued to speak within himself, who is he who made the heaven and the earth? Who created upon the earth? Where is he? And the night darkened over him, and he lifted up his eyes towards the west, north, south, and east, and he saw that the sun had vanished from the earth, and the day became dark. And Abram saw the stars and the moon before him, and he said, indeed, this is the mighty one who created the whole earth as well as man. And see, these his servants are mighty ones around him. And Abram served the moon and prayed to it all night. And in the morning it was light, and the sun shone upon the earth as usual. And Abram saw all the matters that Yahuwah had made on the earth. And Abram said to himself, indeed, those are not mighty ones that made the earth and all mankind, but these are the servants of Yahuwah. And Abram remained in the house of Noah, and there knew Yahuwah and his ways, and he served Yahuwah all the days of his life. And all that generation forgot Yahuwah, and served other mighty ones of wood and stone, and rebelled all their days. So obviously, Abram was, of course, learning and stuff. He was trying to figure out who Yahuwah was, and then he finally figured it out that the sun and the moon was not it, and Yahuwah was really, omnipresent and everything. So yeah. So this is it for this um part of the reading of the book of Jasher. I hope you all enjoyed this message, and let me know if you have any comments. Shalom, everyone.